Recently, while reading Jesus of Nazareth by Pope Benedict XVI, I was struck especially by one part in relation to the work that benefactors of aid to the Church in need support. I wanted to share that with you. Pope Benedict was reflecting on the temptations that were put to Jesus during the 40 days he spent in the desert at the start of his public ministry. You'll recall that in the first temptation, Satan says to Jesus, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." Satan is demanding that the Lord prove his divinity by providing food. The Pope extends this demand to the way that the secular world looks upon the Church. If you claim to be the Church of God, then start by making sure the world is fed. The rest comes later. And as people who sense the needs of others, we can appreciate this challenge. After all, what is more tragic, more unjust than the desperate cry of the hungry? There are many, both inside and outside the Church, who would see Christianity, and by extension Christ, as existing only to tend to the material, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to nurse the sick. And the Church has indeed done these things since her inception. There is in fact no organisation comparable to Christianity that has taken so seriously the provision of material and social needs for the poor. The Church is the largest charitable organisation on the planet. But is that it? Is the Church here to only fill stomachs and tend to wounds? The Sisters of Charity have a beautiful motto taken from St. Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. Caritas Christi urget nos. The love of Christ urges us on. It is the knowledge of Christ's love, of God's love, that spurs us into action. All our good works, all our hospitals, our schools, our charities are meant to exist as the fruit of our relationship with Jesus Christ. The love of Christ fills our heart and impels us out into the world, desirous to share that love. That is why Jesus did not rush to turn the stones into bread, instead saying, "Man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Jesus is not just some kindly social worker handing out bread, blankets and bandages. Jesus is God, and he comes to ultimately bring us the bread of life, which is nothing less than his own flesh and blood. Even if the Church could eradicate all poverty and hunger for all time, that would not be her greatest gift to the world. The Church's greatest, and in fact the Church's only offering to the world, is Jesus Christ, the bread of life, present right now in every tabernacle, in every Catholic church, chapel and shrine. Only at the feet of that same Jesus can the world find the peace for which it longs. Speaking of the Eucharist, Pope Benedict quotes the German Jesuit Alfred Delp, executed by the Nazis, who wrote, "Bread is important, freedom is more important, but most important of all is unbroken fidelity and faithful adoration." When social justice and charity forgets this ordering of priorities, when God is regarded as secondary to providing food and clothing, then there is no true justice and no true charity. Pope Benedict himself somewhat boldly states that the aid offered by the West to developing countries has been purely technically and materially based. Not only has it left God out of the picture, but it has even sought to drive those countries away from God. This is the type of aid that demands God turn stones into bread to prove his value. This is the aid that refuses to believe, and as such, this is the aid that will feed hungry bellies every day of the week, but never end hunger. Set against this, my friends, is the beauty and uniqueness of aid to the Church in need. We're the only international Catholic charity that focuses on the spiritual and pastoral needs of the suffering Church. We do not demand that the Lord turn stones into bread, but we seek to bring the Lord into those communities who suffer most deeply. Yes, as part of that, we offer material aid, but we are not confused about our mission. For over 70 years, aid to the Church in need has supported the poor Church, the oppressed Church, the persecuted Church. And this has been done in humble service to Christ and to his Vicar on earth, the Holy Father. Incidentally, it is precisely because we focus on spiritual and pastoral aid that we're not permitted to offer tax deductibility on offerings. The secular world only values giving without God and charity without Christ. So in that sense, we're proud to be unable to offer tax deductibility, and our benefactors, our loyal benefactors, know and understand that. Our work must go on regardless of how we are viewed by the world. So I want to conclude by boldly asking you to consider joining us as we seek to serve the suffering Church. Would you commit to giving or becoming a monthly donor? Would you commit to telling a friend or a family member about our work? Will you commit to pray weekly for the suffering church? For over 200 million Christians cannot freely proclaim their love for the Lord. My friends, we are completely relying on you, on your faithful prayer, on your financial generosity. Through this message, I am holding out to you the black begging hat of our founder, Father Verenfred van Straten. I pray that the love of the risen Lord will urge us on, urge us to be witnesses to a world that cries out for Jesus Christ. Thanks, and God bless.